everyone, I'm Cindy, and welcome back to English TalkNest, a place where we don't just study English, we live it together. If you've ever felt that no matter how much English you study, real understanding and fluency still feel just out of reach, today's video is for you. Because I want to show you something powerful, something most learners never do. It's not about memorizing grammar rules or watching endless videos or repeating the same exercises again and again. It's about designing your own English world. Think about this. What if your home, your phone, your playlists, your daily habits all quietly helped you learn English without even trying? What if you could wake up in the morning and already be surrounded by English, hearing it, reading it, thinking in it, naturally, effortlessly? That's what we're going to build today, your personalized English immersion environment. A simple real-world system that makes English a living part of your everyday life, not just something you study for a few minutes a day. And the best part? You don't need to move abroad or spend hours on complicated lessons. You just need to know how to reshape the world around you. Because fluency doesn't start in the classroom. It starts in your space, your habits, and your mind. So in this lesson, I'll guide you step by step to create your own English immersion environment, one that fits your lifestyle, your schedule, and your goals. You'll learn how to turn your phone, your routine, and even your quiet moments into natural English practice, without stress, without pressure, and without feeling like you're studying. Ready? Let's begin designing your English world, right here, right now. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to speak English so naturally, even though they've never lived abroad? Maybe you've met someone from your own country who speaks with confidence, with rhythm, and you thought, how did they do that? Maybe you have studied English for years. You know the grammar, you understand many words, but when you try to speak, something just feels blocked. The words are there, but they don't come out smoothly. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you're not alone. I've met thousands of students who feel exactly the same way. They say, Cindy, I understand everything when I read or watch, but I can't think fast enough to reply. And I always tell them this. It's not your brain. It's your environment. The way we use language depends on what surrounds us, what we hear, see, and respond to every day. The truth is, you don't have to move to London or New York to live in English. You can bring English into your life right where you are. You can build your own small, personal English world, one that fits your lifestyle, your schedule, and your personality. Today, I'm going to show you how to design that environment, your own English immersion world, step by step. It's simple, it's real, and it works. No expensive courses, no travel, no pressure. Just small, intentional changes that slowly turn your daily life into an English-rich space. Let's imagine something together. When you wake up tomorrow, your alarm goes off, and the first voice you hear is an English podcast that you love. You brush your teeth, make your coffee, and your phone is set to English. The headlines you read, the YouTube videos you play in the background, even the little sticky note on your mirror that says, "Today is a great day," all in English. You're not studying, you're simply living with the language. That's what immersion means. It's not about studying harder. It's about surrounding yourself so that English becomes natural, like the air around you. When I started learning another language myself, not English, but Spanish, I didn't have the chance to move abroad. I was in the US, surrounded by English all the time. So I decided to turn my small apartment into a mini Spanish world. I changed my phone to Spanish, labeled everything in my kitchen, watched Spanish shows with subtitles, and started talking to myself while cooking. It felt funny at first, but something magical happened. I began to think in Spanish. And that's exactly what I want for you with English. I want you to think, breathe, and live in English, step by step in a way that feels completely natural. So if you've ever told yourself, I can't practice because I don't live in an English-speaking country. Today, I want you to erase that belief. The world you live in doesn't decide how fluent you become. The environment you create does. Here's what we'll explore together in this video. We'll talk about what immersion really means and how to understand it in simple terms. Then we'll build your digital English environment, how to fill your phone, playlists, and social media with the right kind of English exposure. After that, we'll go beyond the screen. We'll craft your physical immersion hub, transforming your everyday spaces like your kitchen or your commute into active English zones. You'll see how small changes in your surroundings can completely change the way your brain interacts with English. And later, we'll talk about keeping your motivation alive, how to sustain and evolve your English world as your fluency grows, so English becomes a natural part of who you are, not just something you study. But before we go into the steps, I want you to pause for a moment. Think about what your current English world looks like. How much English do you actually live with each day? How often do you hear it, read it, or use it naturally? Not in class, but in real life. Because the truth is, your fluency isn't built in lessons. It's built in moments. The little moments you choose to stay close to the language, even when you're tired, cooking, walking, or scrolling your phone. Every small exposure counts. So in the next few minutes, let's start reshaping your world, not by adding pressure, but by changing the air you breathe. By the end of this journey, you'll see that you already have everything you need to become fluent. You just need to design your world to help you get there. Let's start with a question. When you hear the word immersion, what do you imagine? Many people think it means packing your bags, flying to an English-speaking country, and surrounding yourself with native speakers all day. And sure, that can help, but here's something powerful that most learners don't realize. True immersion isn't about location. It's about exposure and mindset. Immersion simply means creating a world where English is not a subject you study, but a language you live in. You hear it, see it, respond to it, and think with it, just as naturally as you do in your native tongue. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't memorize vocabulary lists or grammar charts when you were 2 years old. You listened, watched, repeated, made mistakes, and slowly connected sounds with meaning. You lived inside that language every single day. That's the essence of immersion, and you can recreate it anywhere, even in your small apartment, your dorm room, or your daily bus ride. When my students first hear this, they often say, "But Cindy, I'm too busy to add more study time." And that's where I smile and say, that's perfect, because I'm not asking you to study more. I'm asking you to live differently. The English immersion approach isn't about adding hours of grammar drills or textbook pages. It's about changing what your brain sees and hears during the hours you already have. For example, imagine you spend 30 minutes scrolling social media every day. That's 3.5 hours a week. What if half of that time was in English? If your feed showed English captions, English short videos, and voices that use natural expressions, your brain would start recognizing rhythm, tone, and real phrases that no textbook could ever teach. That's how you start feeling the language, not just studying it. Immersion also builds what I call your language instincts. Have you ever noticed how native speakers sometimes skip grammar rules or use phrases that don't seem logical, but they just sound right? That sense of what sounds right comes from constant exposure. You hear it so often that your brain builds automatic patterns, and you can do the same. One of my students, Elena, from Spain, once told me that she had never been to an English-speaking country. Yet, when I heard her speak, I was amazed by her natural flow and intonation. I asked her, "What's your secret?" She said, "Cindy, I don't study English anymore. I just live with it." Her phone, her music, her favorite shows, even her grocery list, all in English. She didn't wait for opportunities, she created them. So if you want to speak English more fluently, don't wait for a perfect environment. Design your own. Let your home, your screen, your car, and even your thoughts slowly shift toward English. Let's look at how your brain reacts to that kind of change. When you constantly hear English sounds and see English words around you, your brain begins to form what scientists call language mapping. It connects words, emotions, and experiences together. That's why people who live in bilingual homes switch languages naturally. Their brains have learned to move between languages without effort. You can build that same map. It just starts with small, consistent exposure. The beautiful part is, your brain doesn't care where the English comes from. It doesn't care if it's a YouTube video, a podcast, a friend, or your own voice reading a note aloud. What matters is that it hears, sees, and feels English regularly. Think of it like planting seeds in a garden. Every podcast you listen to, every English label you read, every sentence you speak to yourself, it's a seed. You might not see the results immediately, but over time, your brain's English garden grows stronger, greener, and more natural. And here's something I want you to remember. Immersion doesn't mean perfection. You don't have to understand every single word or speak like a native speaker. It's about being comfortable inside the language, about letting English surround you so completely that you stop worrying about mistakes and start experiencing communication. When I teach immersion, I like to think of it as building a cozy house for your English. You start by laying the foundation, the daily exposure that keeps your language alive. Then, piece by piece, you decorate that house with new habits, voices, and experiences. And over time, it becomes your second home, a place where you feel relaxed and confident. So now that you understand what immersion really means, we're ready to start building the foundation, your daily input environment. This is where we'll take small, practical steps to bring English into your everyday life, not by adding more lessons, but by transforming what's already around you. Get ready, because in the next part, we'll design your personal input world, your playlists, your screens, your background sounds, so that English becomes the language you naturally live in every single day. Now that you understand what immersion truly means, let's start building it, one small step at a time. Your goal isn't to study harder, it's to make English flow naturally through your day. I like to call this your daily input environment. It's everything your brain takes in, what you listen to, what you read, what you see. The more English gently surrounds you, the more familiar and automatic it becomes. Let's start with what you already use most, your phone. Take a moment to imagine how many hours you spend looking at it. Messages, news, music, YouTube, podcasts. Your phone is your world. And that's exactly why it's the perfect starting point for your English environment. Here's something simple but powerful. Change your phone's language to English. Suddenly, you'll be reading English without even realizing it. Every time you open an app, check your calendar, or read a notification, you'll learn words like settings, updates, reminder, storage. Real, everyday English you'll never forget because you use it naturally. Next, look at your social media. What kind of content fills your feed? Is it mostly in your native language? Try following English-speaking creators who talk about topics you love. If you enjoy cooking, follow English food vloggers. If you love travel, follow English travelers. Don't force yourself to watch lessons all the time. Watch what interests you, just in English. The brain learns faster when it enjoys the content. Now let's talk about sound, because listening is the heart of immersion. When you wake up, instead of scrolling through messages, play an English podcast while making breakfast. When you commute, listen to an audiobook or a YouTube video with the screen off. When you clean your room or cook dinner, put on an English playlist in the background. You don't even have to focus deeply every time. Even passive listening helps your brain absorb rhythm, pronunciation, and sentence structure. Over time, these sounds start to feel familiar. You'll catch phrases like, you know what I mean? Or, I guess so, naturally. And one day, you'll find yourself using them without thinking. That's when immersion begins to work. Another simple habit is to switch your entertainment to English. If you love movies, watch them in English with subtitles. Later, try watching the same movie again with English subtitles only. It's not about understanding every word, it's about training your ear and your confidence. You can even create what I call an English bubble in your home. Imagine you're walking around your house and English gently follows you through sound, visuals, and words. Post short phrases on your wall or mirror. Keep going. You've got this. Today I'll learn one new phrase. These small reminders are powerful because they keep English alive in your environment. Your brain loves repetition and familiarity, so the more often it sees and hears English in natural places, the more it starts to expect English. And that expectation changes everything. It's what turns learners into fluent speakers. Here's something I tell my students. Treat English like background music. You don't have to study it every moment, but let it play softly in the background of your life. Let it mix into your routines. Brushing your teeth, exercising, commuting, cooking. Every minute counts, even when you're not paying full attention. Now, some learners ask me, Cindy, what if I don't have time to sit and listen to long podcasts? That's okay. You can still make it work. Listen for 5 minutes while you get dressed. Read one English sentence before bed. Watch one short video during lunch. The secret isn't in doing more. It's in doing it every day. Consistency is stronger than intensity. Let's make it practical. Pick one moment from your day when your brain is usually free, like your commute, your morning routine, or your evening walk. Choose one English source you love, maybe a friendly YouTube channel or a podcast that speaks slowly and clearly. Start small and build from there. The more enjoyable it feels, the longer you'll keep going. Over time, this input environment becomes your foundation. It's what feeds your brain new sounds, patterns, and ideas. It's quiet learning, no pressure, no fear, just constant exposure. And when you start speaking, you'll notice something amazing. Your sentences flow more easily, your pronunciation feels natural, and your confidence rises. So now that we've filled your digital and audio world with English, it's time to take the next step, moving from screens to your surroundings. Because immersion doesn't only happen in your phone. It can live in your room, your kitchen, even in the way you walk or think during the day. In the next part, we'll explore how to craft your physical immersion hub, turning your everyday spaces into living English zones that keep your motivation and creativity alive. So far, we've been shaping your digital and audio world, filling your phone, playlists, and moments of silence with English. But real transformation happens when English steps out of your screen and starts living around you. This is where your surroundings, your room, your kitchen, even your daily commute become your personal classroom. I call it your physical immersion hub. Let's start with your home, because it's where you spend most of your time. Every room can become a gentle reminder of English if you let it. Walk into your kitchen and imagine small sticky notes on the fridge. Milk, butter, eggs, vegetables. On the counter, you could have phrases like, let's make breakfast, or I'm cooking pasta today. Every time you see these words, your brain gets a micro dose of English without effort. You don't need to study, just notice. Over time, those words become a natural part of your thinking. Now take it a step further. When you cook, try narrating your actions in English. It might feel funny at first, but it's a simple and powerful technique. For example, I'm chopping onions. The water is boiling. I need to add a little salt. These small daily sentences connect English to real actions, and that's what makes them stick. You're training your brain to think in English without memorization. The same idea works anywhere. When you're commuting, look around and describe what you see. The weather looks cloudy today. That person is wearing a red jacket. The traffic is heavy. You don't have to say it out loud if you're shy. Thinking in English silently works just as well. The goal is to make English the language your mind uses to describe the world. To strengthen this environment, use visual anchors, things that remind you to stay close to English. You could place a small whiteboard by your desk where you write one new phrase each day. Or keep a small notebook near your bed to jot down interesting expressions you heard that day. You can even put English quotes or motivational sentences on your wall, like, "Progress, not perfection," or "Every word counts." These are more than decorations. They are small invitations for your brain to stay engaged with English. Another powerful habit is to create English zones in your home, spaces where you only allow English to exist. It could be your study corner, your car, or your kitchen during breakfast. In those zones, try to speak, think, and even read in English only. For example, if your kitchen is your English zone, commit to describing what you're doing in English each time you cook. If your car is your English zone, play English podcasts and try shadowing along with the speaker. And then, when you're ready, take on what I call the English-only challenge. Choose a specific time, maybe 15 minutes a day, when you speak, write, or think only in English. You can talk to yourself, record your voice, or describe what you're doing. At first, it feels a little awkward, but after a few days, it becomes exciting. You start realizing you can think in English, even without translating. That's a breakthrough moment. Don't worry about mistakes. In fact, celebrate them. Each mistake means your brain is actively building new pathways. Fluency doesn't grow in silence. It grows when you use the language, even imperfectly. I want you to see your surroundings as a living part of your English journey. The more English words, sounds, and visuals your brain meets daily, the more natural it feels. Before long, you'll catch yourself speaking English while doing everyday things, folding laundry, driving, waiting in line. You'll feel that subtle shift. English stops being something you study and becomes something you live with. Now, to make this experience more personal, add your own touch to your English space. Maybe keep a candle or music that helps you relax while studying. Maybe hang a world map where you mark every English-speaking country you dream of visiting. Maybe write your weekly goals in English. Learn 10 new words. Watch one TED Talk. Record one shadowing session. Make it inspiring. Make it yours. You see, the goal of your physical immersion hub isn't perfection. It's consistency. It's about surrounding yourself with small, constant reminders that English is part of your life, not just a subject in a book. So as you move through your day, look around. Ask yourself, where can I bring English closer to me? Maybe it's a sticky note. Maybe it's a 5-minute talk to yourself. Maybe it's a podcast while cooking. Each moment counts. Because the truth is, immersion doesn't happen in a single big change. It happens in hundreds of small choices. Every English word you see, hear, and use adds one more brick to your foundation. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. You'll learn how to use your environment to practice speaking actively, to bring your confidence to life, and to finally feel that English isn't just around you, but inside you. By now, you've built something truly powerful, your personalized English world. You've surrounded yourself with sounds, visuals, routines, and energy that pull you toward fluency every day. But here's the real challenge: keeping that world alive, flexible, and exciting. Because true immersion isn't something you finish, it's something you grow with. Let's start with this simple truth. Your English journey doesn't move in straight lines. Some days you'll feel confident, words will flow naturally, and you'll think, wow, I'm really improving. Then the next day, you might forget a phrase or struggle to find the right word. That's normal. That's how your brain strengthens new connections. Growth hides inside those quiet, confusing moments. So instead of measuring progress with grammar tests or vocabulary lists, start measuring something much more meaningful: confidence and authentic communication. Ask yourself questions like this: can I express my thoughts more clearly today than last month? Do I understand more when I watch English videos? Can I keep a conversation going a little longer? Those are the signs that matter most. Here's a little exercise I recommend. Call it your confidence tracker. Once a week, record yourself speaking about something simple: your day, your plans, a favorite movie, or a small opinion. Keep those recordings. Don't judge them, just save them. Then, after a few months, listen again. You'll be amazed at how much more natural and expressive you sound. That's proof of real progress, not a score, but a voice that's becoming more alive. Now, as your fluency grows, your environment should grow with you. The same methods that worked at the beginning may start to feel too easy later on, and that's a good thing. It means you're ready for more. So adapt your environment to match your new level. For example, if you used to label objects around the house, try replacing those labels with full expressions or questions. Instead of window, write, "Can you open the window, please?" Instead of book, write, "I couldn't put this book down." These small upgrades make your exposure more natural, closer to real-life English. You can also adjust your input. If you used to listen to beginner podcasts, move to intermediate ones. Try audiobooks or YouTube discussions. Explore English content related to your personal interests: cooking, technology, travel, or psychology. When you enjoy what you're listening to, your brain absorbs it faster. Remember, immersion is not about forcing yourself to study. It's about inviting English into the things you already love. And here's something most learners overlook: your social immersion. Even if you don't live in an English-speaking country, you can still connect with people who share your passion. Join English-speaking online groups, discussion communities, or conversation apps. Talk to AI chat partners. Comment in English under your favorite videos, or write short posts about your day in English on social media. Each time you express yourself, you move closer to the ultimate goal: using English to live, not just to learn. Now, let's talk about something deeper: the long-term vision. At this stage, English should start feeling less like a language you study and more like a part of your identity. Think about it. You don't study your native language, you live it. You use it to express emotions, ideas, humor, and curiosity. That's exactly what you want with English. You want it to be your second voice, the one that opens doors, connects you with new people, and helps you understand the world in a broader way. Here's a beautiful mindset shift that can change everything. Stop thinking, "I'm learning English," and start saying, "I'm living in English." That one sentence can transform how you approach every practice session. Suddenly, your environment isn't just a study space. It's your world, your reflection, your daily companion. Of course, this world needs care and renewal. So once every few months, take a moment to refresh your linguistic sanctuary. Ask yourself, what's still working for me? What feels boring or repetitive? What can I add to keep it fun? Maybe you'll update your playlists, find a new favorite podcast, or start journaling in English about your real experiences. Keep your environment alive, because a living environment keeps your motivation alive too. And one more thing: be proud of how far you've come. Even if you're not fluent yet, you've done something extraordinary. You've built a bridge between your daily world and a global language. You've designed a space where English can grow naturally, beautifully, and freely, just like a garden. You're not waiting for fluency to happen someday. You're creating it every single day. So, take a deep breath and smile. Look around your environment, your room, your phone, your favorite coffee spot. Notice how many traces of English are now part of your life. You did that. You built that. And that's the real secret to fluency. Not speed, not perfection, but consistency and connection. Because when you design your world with intention, English stops being a subject. It becomes your second home. You know, when I think about every learner who's started this journey, maybe just like you, I always see one thing in common. It's not perfect grammar or fancy words, it's courage. The quiet kind of courage that says, I'll keep going, even when it feels slow. I'll keep speaking, even when I make mistakes. I'll keep showing up, because English is something I want to live, not just learn. So if you followed this far, take a moment to truly see what you've built. You didn't just collect study tips or memorize vocabulary. You designed a world, a living, breathing English environment around you. You crafted a space where your mind feels safe to explore, your voice feels free to grow, and your confidence begins to bloom naturally. Every song you've listened to, every phrase you whispered while cooking, every sticky note on your wall, they've all been tiny seeds. And today, those seeds have begun to grow into something real. You're not waiting for the right time to speak English anymore. You're already living it. So here's my final message for you, and it comes from years of watching learners transform their lives. Fluency isn't a destination, it's a lifestyle. You don't arrive at English one day and say, I'm done. You become English, little by little, through moments, through laughter, through curiosity, through courage. Maybe one day you'll find yourself chatting with a friend from another country, and you'll suddenly realize you didn't translate a single word in your head. Or maybe you'll write an email, or watch a movie, or travel abroad, and you'll feel this deep sense of calm. That's when you'll know. English isn't outside you anymore. It's inside you. It's part of who you are. And from that moment, everything changes, because now you're not studying for a test. You're connecting with the world. You're learning through people, through ideas, through stories. You're living your English life. So as you go back to your day, your home, your commute, your quiet moments, I want you to carry this thought with you. Every single sound you hear in English, every single word you read or speak, is shaping your mind in powerful ways. Don't rush it. Don't pressure yourself. Just keep your world open, alive, and filled with gentle reminders that this is your journey, your voice, your story. Remember, your immersion environment isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up every day, even for 5 minutes, and choosing to live a little more in English than you did yesterday. That's how fluency is built, not in leaps, but in layers. So let this be your new mantra. I don't just learn English, I live in English. Say it to yourself when you wake up. Say it when you feel stuck. Say it when you need a small reminder that you're building something beautiful and lasting. Because you are. You're creating a new home, a home built from words, from courage, from connection. And every day that you live inside it, it becomes a little brighter, a little warmer, and a little more you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I'm Cindy from English TalkNest, and I'm so proud of you for taking this step to design your own English immersion world. Keep nurturing it, keep growing it, and keep believing in your voice. Your English journey doesn't end here. It starts right now, in every thought, in every sound, in every choice you make. Let's make English not just the language you learn, but the life you live.